Good morning, students. Today we have lecture number 4. Lecture number 4 on fluid mechanics. On fluid mechanics. We are studying fluid mechanics, and today we have lecture number 4. And so far in the lecture number 1, lecture number 2 and lecture number 3, we have covered the fluid statics, that is fluid at rest. So now fluid dynamics, little bit about fluid dynamics, that is motion of fluids. A flowing fluid is considered to be incompressible. A flowing fluid is considered to be incompressible. That means the fluid which flows, the flowing liquid is considered to be incompressible. The flowing liquid, not fluid, the flowing liquid is considered to be incompressible. That is, the liquid which flows, that liquid does not compressible. That is, its volume remains constant or density will remain constant. Such kind of liquids we will be using whenever the liquid is flowing. Okay, we have to study about the flow of liquids. The flow of liquid can be of different types. The flow of liquid can be of different type. That is orderly flow of liquid. Orderly flow of liquid, that is called streamline flow of liquid, and disorderly flow of liquid, that is zigzag flow of liquid, that is called turbulent flow of liquid. So we shall study more about that type of flow of liquid. That is, first we study streamline flow of liquid. Streamline flow of liquid. Streamline flow of liquid. What do you mean by streamline flow of liquid? A liquid is said to have streamline flow if all the particles of the liquid passing a given point has same velocity and same path. So let us consider a liquid flowing through a section. Let us consider a liquid flowing through a section. If we say this as the path of the streamline, if all the particles of the liquid passing through a given point, let us say this point as A, all the particles of the liquid passing through a given point has same velocity as that of the preceding particle. That is, a particle passes through the point A, the velocity of that particle is Va. Next, another particle of the fluid comes at the point A, the velocity of that particle also has to be same. That is, velocity of all the particles of the liquid at a particular point will remain constant, and at another point, so let us say another point B on the streamline path. This is a streamline path. On this streamline path there is another point B. Velocity of all the particles passing through this point will be Vb, and another point C, velocity of all the particles passing through this point is Vc. So then the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined. That is, the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined if velocity of all the particles of the liquid passing through a given point is same, or passing through a given point is constant. That is, all the particles of the liquid passing through this point will have the velocity Va. All the particles of the liquid passing through the given point B will have the velocity Vb. All the particles of the liquid passing through the point C will have the velocity Vc. Then the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined. Here velocity Va and Vb and Vc may be same or may not be same. The value of Va, Vb, Vc may be different or may be same. That does not matter. But whatever all the particles of the liquid passing through the point A must have the velocity Va at that point. And also direction. The direction of the particles also has to be same. The direction of flow of liquid and the direction and the velocity of the particle at a particular point has to remain constant. Then it is called a streamline flow. Understood? So now in a streamline flow, the if the path followed, that is the path followed by the particles of the liquid in a streamline flow, the path followed by the particles of the liquid in a streamline flow is called as streamline. It is called as streamline. Streamline is nothing but the path of streamline flow. The path of the streamline flow is called as just a streamline. Okay. A tangent drawn to the streamline at a point. A tangent drawn to the streamline at a point will give the direction of velocity. That is, if a tangent is drawn at the point A, it will give the direction of velocity of all the particles passing through the point A. If the flow of the fluid is streamline, then at the point A, all the particles will have the velocity Va or any particular value. Va means any particular value of velocity at a particular point. And now, if a tangent is drawn at this point, the tangent will give the direction of velocity. And similarly, a tangent drawn to the streamline, that is, a tangent drawn at any point on a streamline will give the direction of velocity at that point. A tangent drawn to a streamline at any point gives the direction of velocity at that point. Understood? And two streamlines cannot cross each other. Two streamline flowing liquid cannot cross each other. If they cross at a point, then there will be two directions. Two streamlines flowing through a section cannot cross each other. If they cross at that point, there will be two direction for velocity, which is not possible. That is, it will not become a streamline. It will change us. It will not become a streamline. It will become a turbulent. So, a streamline flow, that is, cannot cross each other. The two streamline flow cannot cross each other. That is one of the property, you can say, properties of streamline flow. And a tangent drawn at any point on the streamline will give the direction of velocity of the particle at that point. That is also another property. And one more property, if greater the number of streamlines, passing through a given section, then the velocity of streamline will be larger. Greater the number of streamlines passing through a section, then the velocity of streamline will be more. Velocity of streamline will be more. So these are some properties of streamline flow of liquid. So now next another flow of liquid, let us say turbulent flow of liquid. Turbulent flow of liquid. Turbulent flow of liquid. The flow of liquid, if the flow of liquid is irregular, that is, in the day-to-day life, in a river we see that the liquid flows, that is, water flows very fastly and it flows zigzag and rising up and down. So such kind of flow we can call it as a turbulent flow. So in a turbulent flow, the particles passing through a given point does not have the same velocity. A flow of liquid is said to be turbulent if the particles passing through a given point does not have the same velocity and the motion of the particles is irregular. Then it is called turbulent flow of liquid. The flow of liquid is said to be turbulent if the particles of liquid passing through a given point does not have the same velocity. That is, different particles have different velocity at a particular point. Understood? And the motion of the particles is irregular. Motion of the particle is not uniform, irregular. Then such kind of flow is called turbulent flow of liquid. And in the turbulent flow of liquid, generally the velocity of the liquid will be larger. In the turbulent flow of the liquid. Whereas in the streamline flow of liquid, the velocity of the liquid will be smaller. Velocity of liquid will be smaller in the streamline flow of liquid, whereas in the turbulent flow of liquid, the velocity of liquid is larger. Okay. And in the turbulent flow, the irregularities and circular eddies are created in the turbulent flow, the irregular flows and up and downs, that is rise and fall of flow, and also eddies are created in the turbulent flow. So that is also, you can see, whenever a obstacle comes in the path of the flow of the liquid, if the liquid is having a constant velocity, let us say liquid is flowing streamlinely or calmly, then there is a obstacle in the path of the liquid, then the liquid flow, the direction of flow of liquid will changes, the direction of flow of liquid will changes, and here irregularities are created, and then the fluid flow becomes a turbulent flow also, you can say. So whenever there is a obstacle to the streamline flow, if there is a obstacle for the streamline flow, then the flow becomes turbulent, that is an irregularity is created in the path of the liquid, then the path of the liquids will get mixed up, so we can call it as a turbulent flow of liquid. Understood? Okay, another flow of liquid will come, it is generally laminar flow of liquid. Okay, laminar flow of liquid. Okay, the flow of liquid is said to be laminar. So if the liquid flows over a horizontal surface, the liquid flows over a horizontal surface in the form of different layers. The liquid flows over a horizontal surface in the form of different layers of different velocity. That is, liquid is flowing layer like one layer, another layer, one layer, another layer. So layer like flow of liquid with different velocities. Then the flow of liquid is said to be laminar flow of liquid. So for a laminar flow of liquid, the velocity of the liquid will be smaller. The velocity of the liquid will be smaller. The velocity of the liquid, the velocity of the fluid will be smaller. The laminar flow of fluid is such that the liquid flows over a horizontal surface in the form of different layers having different velocity. Then the flow of liquid is said to be laminar. Flow of liquid is said to be laminar. And here, if liquid is flowing through a section, so if a non-viscous liquid, what type of liquid? Non-viscous liquid is flowing through a section, then the profile of liquid flow will be a plane profile. The profile of liquid flow will be a plane profile, like this, plane profile. If a non-viscous fluid, if a non-viscous liquid flows through a section, then the profile of laminar flow, that is the profile of liquid flow will be a plane for the laminar flow. Okay, if a non-viscous fluid, viscous fluid, now a viscous fluid flows through a section, if a viscous fluid flows through a section, then the profile means the head, velocity heads, we can say velocity heads of laminar flow will be a parabola, like this, parabola, because in a viscous liquid, the velocity of the liquid in contact with the tube, let us say this as a tube, the velocity of the liquid in contact with the tube will be less. So as a result, the flow, that is the profile of the flow will becomes parabolic, and the profile of the flow for a non-viscous liquid is plane profile, just for your understanding. Okay, so this is called laminar flow, turbulent flow and streamline flow. These are the different types of liquid flows. Okay, so now these liquid flows can also be understood by understanding the velocities, of the liquid flow. That is, we will define a quantity called critical velocity. We will define a quantity called critical velocity. So now, critical velocity of liquid or critical velocity of fluid. Critical velocity is that velocity of liquid below which the flow of fluid is said to be streamlined. A critical velocity of a liquid is a particular velocity. Critical velocity is a particular value of velocity below which the flow of fluid is said to be streamlined. And if the velocity of fluid is greater than critical velocity, if the velocity of fluid is greater than critical velocity, then the flow of liquid is said to be turbulent. Critical velocity is a particular value of velocity of liquid, is a particular value of velocity of liquid below which the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined, and above which the flow of liquid is said to be turbulent. Like exam, in the exam there will be a critical mass. So we say passing mass as critical mass. For example, 21 mass is a critical mass. If the mass is less than 21, it is said to be failed. If the mass is more than 21, it is said to be pass. So that is called critical mass. Critical mass. Similarly, critical velocity. Critical velocity means a particular value of velocity. Whatever that particular value of velocity may be, if the velocity of liquid is less than that critical velocity, then the liquid is said to have streamlined flow. If the velocity of the liquid is greater than critical velocity, then the liquid is said to have turbulent flow. And according to Reynolds, the critical velocity of a liquid, is directly proportional to the coefficient of velocity of the liquid. The critical velocity of a liquid is directly proportional to the coefficient of viscosity of the liquid, and critical velocity of a liquid is inversely proportional to the density of the liquid. According to Reynolds discovered that the critical velocity of a liquid is directly proportional to the coefficient of viscosity of liquid. Eta is called coefficient of viscosity of liquid. It will come. What is coefficient of viscosity of liquid? It will come in the upcoming lectures. In the next, after a few more lectures, we will study viscosity. In that chapter, we will study in detail about what is coefficient of viscosity of liquid. Okay. So, according to Reynolds, the critical velocity of a liquid is directly proportional to the coefficient of viscosity of the liquid, and critical velocity of a liquid is inversely proportional to the density of the liquid, and critical velocity of a liquid is inversely proportional to the diameter of the tube. Critical velocity is inversely proportional to the diameter of the tube. So hence, you can combine all these formulas, that is Vc, that is nothing but critical velocity, is proportional to eta divided by rho into d. Eta divided by rho into d, and this further can be done as Vc is equal to r into eta. R, some of the books will write r, some of the books will write nr. I'll write it as capital R. Okay, I'll write it as capital R into eta divided by rho d, where r is proportionality constant, where capital R is coefficient of proportionality constant, and it is called as proportionality constant. It is called as Reynolds number. It is called as Reynolds number. Reynolds number. So here I am talking about critical velocity. Critical velocity of a fluid is a particular velocity of the liquid. Critical velocity of a liquid is a particular velocity of the liquid. If the velocity of the liquid is less than that value, then the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined. If the velocity of the liquid is greater than that value, then the flow of liquid is said to be turbulent. So such a particular velocity which determines whether the flow of liquid is streamlined or turbulent, that particular value of velocity of liquid is called as critical velocity. And according to the Reynolds, a famous scientist, fluid mechanics he has studied. Okay. So according to that scientist, so the critical velocity of liquid through a pipe, critical velocity of liquid through a tube is directly proportional to the coefficient of viscosity of the liquid, and critical velocity of liquid is inversely proportional to the density of the liquid, and critical velocity of liquid is inversely proportional to the diameter of the tube. Hence, combining all this, so Vc proportional to eta divided by rho d, that is Vc is equal to a proportionality constant. A proportionality constant, then you can write it is equal to r eta divided by rho, where r is called as proportionality constant, and this proportionality constant is called as Reynolds number. This proportionality constant is called as Reynolds number. Understood? And now Reynolds number. What is the Reynolds number? A Reynolds number is a pure number. A Reynolds number is a pure number which determines whether the flow of liquid is critical, whether the flow of liquid is streamline or turbulent. Reynolds number is a pure number that determines whether the flow of liquid is turbulent or streamline, and it is a unitless dimensionless. This Reynolds number is a unitless dimensionless quantity. If the value of Reynolds number for a fluid flow, if the value of Reynolds number for a fluid flow is less than 1000, if the value of Reynolds number for a fluid flow is less than 1000, then the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined. If the value of Reynolds number for a liquid flow comes out to be less than 1000, then that liquid is said to having a streamlined flow. If the value of Reynolds number is greater than 2000, if the value of Reynolds number for a flow of liquid is greater than 2000, then the flow of liquid is said to be turbulent. The flow of liquid is said to be turbulent. See here, if the value of Reynolds number for a liquid flow, if the value of Reynolds number for a liquid flow comes out to be less than 1000, then the flow of liquid is said to be streamlined. If the value of Reynolds number for a liquid flow comes out to be greater than 2000, then the flow of liquid is said to be turbulent. If the value of Reynolds number, if the value of Reynolds number is greater than 1000, is greater than 1000, greater than 1000 and less than 2000, greater than 1000 and less than 2000. If the value of Reynolds number is greater than 1000 and less than 2000, then the flow of liquid is unstable flow. The flow of liquid is unstable flow. That means it can change from streamline to turbulent at any point. It can change from streamline to turbulent at any point. If the value of Reynolds number is greater than 1000 and less than 2000, then the flow of liquid is said to be unstable flow of liquid. Unstable flow of liquid, that is, the liquid flow can change us from streamline to turbulent at any point. If the value of Reynolds number is less than 1000, so the flow of liquid is streamlined. Very much clear. If the value of Reynolds number is greater than 2000, then the flow of liquid is said to be turbulent flow of liquid. So if the Reynolds number is greater than 1000 and less than 2000, then the flow of liquid is said to be unstable flow of liquid. That is, it can change us from streamline to turbulent at any point. Understood? So this is all about streamline flow and turbulent flow of liquid. Understood? And from here we observe that is, the critical velocity is directly proportional to coefficient of viscosity and inversely proportional to density and diameter. So if we consider a simple situation where a liquid, a viscous liquid, a highly viscous liquid, where high viscous and low density liquid, a high viscous, low density liquid, high viscous, low density, a high viscous low density liquid flowing through a small tube, flowing through a very small tube will have streamline velocity. See here, a liquid having a high viscosity and low density, a liquid having high viscosity, low density and flowing through a very small tube will have streamline flow. Observe this. The value of Vc is equal to eta divided by rho d once again, eta divided by rho d. Okay, eta is coefficient of viscosity. So if high viscous means coefficient of viscosity will be high and density is small, and the tube is also small, then the value of critical velocity will be large. The value of critical velocity will be large. Then the velocity of the fluid flow through that tube is said to be streamline flow. The velocity of fluid through that tube is said to be streamline flow. If we have a low viscous liquid, low viscous high density liquid, low viscous high density liquid flowing through a larger tube, that is larger cross sectional area tube having a larger cross sectional area, then the flow of liquid is more likely to have turbulent flow. The turbulent flow of liquid is possible when there is a low viscous high density fluid, low viscous high density liquid flowing through a larger tube. The flow of liquid will be turbulent. When the high viscous low density liquid flowing through a smaller tube, then the flow of liquid will be streamlined. So from this formula only I am explaining these 2 points. Understood? So this one they have asked in the CET exam sometime. 2 to 3 times they have asked in the CET exam. So remember that high viscosity low density liquid will more likely to have streamlined flow, whereas low viscous liquid having high density is more likely to have turbulent flow. Understood? So this is all about Reynolds number, critical velocity, streamline flow and turbulent flow of liquid. Understood? Okay. So now next concept, next this critical velocity, this Reynolds number can also be defined in a different manner. The Reynolds number can also be defined in a different manner. The Reynolds number is also defined as the ratio of inertial force per unit area. The Reynolds number is also defined as the ratio of inertial force per unit area to the viscous force per unit area. The Reynolds number is also can be defined as ratio of inertial force per unit area. Yeah, to the viscous force per unit area. Viscous force per unit area. This is another way of explaining the Reynolds number, just for your understanding. The Reynolds number can also be defined as the ratio of inertial force per unit area to the viscous force per unit area. So this can be also be given as V square into rho divided by V square into rho divided by eta V divided by R. Eta V divided by R. So now this V is called velocity of flow of liquid. V cancel. So you can write V rho divided V into R divided by eta into rho. Okay. V rho R divided by eta. So this is another way of writing the Reynolds number. V is velocity of the liquid and rho is density of the liquid, R is cross sectional radius of the tube, and eta is coefficient of viscosity of the liquid. R is radius of the tube. So this like this also you can tell about the Reynolds number. Another way of explaining, another way of writing the Reynolds number. Okay. So now next concept. Okay. Let us study the next concept, ideal fluid. Next concept, ideal fluid. The flow of real liquid or real fluid is very complicated. It is very difficult to study the flow of real fluid. So for simplicity, to study the flow of fluid in a very simple manner, let us consider the liquid as ideal liquid or ideal fluid. A ideal fluid is one which is non-viscous and incompressible. A ideal fluid is one which is non-viscous and incompressible, and the flow of this ideal fluid is streamlined. That kind of fluid only we will consider while studying this. Next, whatever the concept we will study only for ideal fluid, that is ideal fluid. A ideal fluid is one which is non-viscous, incompressible, and the flow of liquid is streamlined. Non-viscous, that is there is no viscosity, that is non-viscous liquid, and incompressible, that is density of the liquid will remain constant, the density of the liquid will remain constant, and the flow of the liquid will be steady flow or streamlined flow, and there will be no rotational flow, that is irrotational flow of liquid. So such kind of fluid only we will consider further for our study. So now next concept, whatever the next concept we will study, we study only by taking the ideal fluid, only by taking the ideal fluid. Ideal fluid is one which is non-viscous and incompressible. Okay. Next concept, equation of continuity, very important, equation of continuity, equation of continuity. Okay. Let us consider an liquid, incompressible non-viscous liquid. Let us consider an incompressible non-viscous liquid flowing through a tube of varying cross-sectional area. Let us consider incompressible non-viscous. Let us consider a non-viscous incompressible liquid flowing through a tube of varying cross-sectional area, flowing through a tube of varying cross-sectional area. The cross-sectional area of the tube is not constant. So through this tube the liquid is flowing. Let us consider that liquid is flowing through this tube. Okay, this I will call it as end A, and this I will call it as end B. This end I will call it as end A, this is end B. Let A1, V1, let A1, V1 and rho 1 be the velocity, be the area of cross section, velocity of the liquid and density of the liquid at the end A. Let A1 be the area of cross section at the end A, V1 be the velocity of the liquid at the end A, and rho 1 be the density of the liquid at the end A. Similarly, let A2, V2 and rho 2. A2 be the area of cross section at the end B, area of cross section of the liquid flow at the end B, and V2 be the velocity of the liquid at the end B, and rho 2 be the density of the liquid at the end B. Understood? Let us consider a non-viscous incompressible fluid flowing through a tube of varying cross-sectional area. That is, cross-sectional area of the tube is not constant. So let this end of the tube as A and let this end of the tube as B. And now A1, V1 and rho 1 are area of cross-section, velocity and density of the fluid respectively at the end A. And A2, V2 and rho 2 are the area of cross section, velocity and density of the liquid at the end B. So now the distance travelled by the liquid. So now the liquid will flow. Let us say liquid is flowing like this. The distance travelled by the liquid in a time delta t. The distance travelled by the liquid. See here, it's very tricky. The distance travelled are covered by liquid in a time delta t at end A is, it is the distance travelled by the liquid. So in a time delta t the liquid will move, the liquid is flowing, so we will take a short interval of time delta t. In that small interval of time delta t, the distance travelled by the liquid can be given by the distance travelled by the liquid in a time delta t is equal to, that is, we know that velocity is equal to distance divided by time. Therefore, distance is equal to velocity into time, or displacement is equal to velocity into time. So therefore, the distance travelled by liquid in a time delta t at the end A can be done as, it is, velocity into delta t. V1 into delta t. V1 into delta t is the distance travelled by the liquid in a time small interval delta t at the end A. Understood? So now Now, in this small interval of time t, the mass crossed the mass of liquid, the mass of liquid passed or crossed, the mass of liquid crossed in a time delta t, in a time delta t at end A is given by, it is mass, generally we write mass is equal to volume into density, mass is equal to volume into density. So it is volume of liquid into density. So volume can be done as area of cross section, area of cross section into length into density. Mass is equal to volume into density. Volume can be done as area of cross section into length into density. So it is area of cross section at the end A, area of cross section at the end A is A1, and length is nothing but the distance traveled by the liquid in the time delta t. The mass of liquid crossed in time delta t only at the end A. I am trying to find out a formula for how much mass of the liquid passes through this end A in a small interval of time delta t. Understood? So the mass of liquid crossing or passing in a time delta t at the end A is given by, that is mass is equal to volume into density, and volume can be written as area of cross section into length into density, and area of cross section at the end A is A1, and length is nothing but the distance traveled by the liquid in a time delta t, that is V1 into delta t. V1 into delta t, and into density of the liquid at the end A. Density of the liquid at the end A is rho 1. So this is mass of the liquid, that is I will write it as delta m, or I will write it as delta m. The mass of liquid crossed in a time delta t at the end A is delta m1. I will write delta m1 is equal to A1 V1 delta t into rho 1. So now the mass of the liquid crossed per unit time, the mass of the liquid passing per unit time, that is now delta m1 divided by delta t, that is take delta t this side. So delta m1 divided by delta t is equal to A1 V1 rho 1, and this is called as mass flux. This is called as mass flux at end A, mass flux at end A. So now similarly the mass flux at end B, the mass flux at the end B can be done as delta m2 divided by delta t, and that is equal to A2 V2 into rho 2. Similarly, same way you can derive, I will write it directly. So since there is no sink or there is no source in between the end A and B, in between the end A and B, see how much liquid is entering at the end B, the same amount of liquid is leaving at the end A. How much amount of liquid is entering at the end B, the same amount of liquid is leaving at the end A. That is, there is no any extra liquid entering or leaving the pipe. There is no sink or source in between the end A and B. So therefore the mass flux at the end B must be same as mass flux at the end A. That is mass flux at end A must be same as mass flux, that is mass per unit time flowing at the end A must be same as mass per unit time flowing at the end B. So it is mass flux at the end A, that is A1 V1 rho 1, and mass flux at the end B A2 V2 and rho 2. So this is called equation of continuity if liquid density is different, and since while deriving this equation we have considered that consider a liquid of non-viscous and incompressible. Incompressible means density remains same. So for incompressible liquid, density rho 1 is equal to rho 2. So therefore you will get, that is rho 1 is equal to rho 2 is equal to rho. So rho will cancel. So you will get A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. So this formula is called as equation of continuity. A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. This is called as equation of continuity. That is A into V is equal to constant. A into V is equal to constant. And this equation of continuity is derived from the law of conservation of mass. This is the fact obtained from the law of conservation of mass. That is, mass of the liquid is neither increased nor decreased at the end B and at the end A. How much mass of the liquid is entering at the end B, the same amount of mass of the liquid is leaving at the end A. That is law of conservation of mass, you can say. So AB is equal to constant, and this is called equation of continuity. So now, how to tell equation of continuity? What is equation of continuity? That is, it is defined as the product of area of cross section and normal velocity. The product of area of cross section and normal velocity at a pipe, at any end of a pipe, will remain constant for an ideal liquid. For the ideal liquid having a steady flow, for an ideal liquid having steady flow, the product of cross sectional area and normal velocity in a pipe or in a tube will remain constant. That is, cross sectional area and velocity are inversely proportional. That is, A is inversely proportional to velocity. A is inversely proportional to velocity. That's what you will see. So in the home, when you are giving water to the garden, if there is a pipe, that is a plastic pipe, if you press the edge of the pipe, you will observe that the cross sectional area of the pipe will decreases. The cross sectional area of the pipe will decreases. As a result of that, the velocity of the water will increases. That is, the cross sectional area of the pipe decreases, the velocity of the liquid will increases automatically. That is, we'll observe in a day-to-day life when you are giving water to the garden. So that is, when pipe is pressed, when a smooth pipe is pressed, water pipe is pressed, the flow of liquid becomes very fast. When pipe is opened, that is, pipe is left free, then the flow of liquid becomes small. That is, flow of liquid becomes small. It is AV is equal to constant, or A is inversely proportional to V. It is, if cross sectional area of the pipe decreases, the velocity of the liquid will increases. If the cross sectional area of the pipe increases, the velocity of the liquid will decreases, and this is called as equation of continuity. It is called as equation of continuity. Understood? This equation of continuity, remember the formula. Remember this formula, this derivation, just for your understanding, I did the derivation. Understood? Okay. So, here this equation of continuity is nothing but the application. This is nothing but the application of law of conservation of mass to the fluid mechanics. The law of conservation of mass is applied to the fluid mechanics. When law of conservation of mass is applied to the fluid mechanics, we get equation of continuity. That is, AB is equal to constant. So, law of conservation of mass means the total mass of the liquid entering at the point B is same as total mass of the liquid leaving at the point, leaving at the end A. So, that is what we have did. Understood? Okay. This is called equation of continuity. Okay. So, this much is enough. In the next class, we study about the next concepts. Understood?